Hello fellow film collectors. This is a 4K collection update featuring 13 films that I have picked up and watched recently. I'm going to run through these in a sort of quick fire fashion. Hopefully you can take some of these as recommendations or not of things to pick up and watch. So let's get straight into things. This first film is considered by some people to be a modern horror masterpiece. It's It Follows. And this is the Second Sight Films 4K limited edition, which I did review on the channel, so do go and check that out if you want a more in-depth opinion on this release. I had a great time with it though. I don't quite think this is a modern horror masterpiece, but it is highly enjoyable, and I recommend this set if you are a fan of the film. Another that I reviewed on the channel is The Exorcist. And if you've watched my video, thank you very much for watching it. But I did not like the presentation on this release. And I go into detail in my review video on why that is. But this was a huge disappointment for a film that I really, really love. So I can't really recommend this disc, but this is the perfect film to watch during Halloween season. Something I haven't talked about on the channel is Bloodsport, the Jean-Claude Van Damme classic film which made him into a huge star. This is the 4K media book from Cape Light Pictures. It's a fantastic release. The film looks beautiful on the 4K disc, and you've got the discs in there, you've got a bit of a booklet in the middle, as is the case with these media books. A great release all around, and it has me itching to watch more Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. I also recently watched Hard Target, which was brilliant, had so much fun. So this might kickstart a bit of a Jean-Claude Van Damme season. And I have another Cape Light media book. It's The Misfits. This is a classic movie, one that I'm hoping is going to get more of a reappraisal as time goes on. Classic movie with Clark Gable, Montgomery Clift, Marilyn Monroe. This was the final film of Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable. It's a film that some people consider perhaps a bit cursed, but it really is a film all about people who are past their time. They've had their time in the sun. Now they are moving on in life. A brilliant presentation on the 4K disc. It was much better than the older Blu-ray that I've got. So highly recommend this one too. Now for something much bigger. It's this, the collector's edition film vault version of The Shawshank Redemption, a film that many people consider the best film ever made, or at least by aggregate on IMDb, it's the #1 film. When I first started getting into film, and I was a big film snob, I turned my nose up at this film because I saw that it was so well loved, and I'd convinced myself that I didn't like the film. And then I've rewatched it time and time again, and it is a great film. It really is. In almost every aspect, it is so well made. And particularly on this rewatch of the 4K disc, I loved Roger Deakins' cinematography. I had a great time with it. Let me just show you what you get in this film vault set very quickly. So you can pull this off to show the artwork, and I love the artwork on all of these film vault discs. When you open it up, it looks a bit like this. If I take this out, all of the films are housed in this little digipack thing. It also comes with this glass block, which is interesting. If you saw my video that I did on the first wave of these film vault titles, all of mine arrived damaged previously, but they seem to have improved the packaging because the glass block has not damaged this. And inside here, there's a whole load of fun things about the film. But most importantly for me, this was a major gripe that I had with the first wave of these, is it actually comes with a folded poster of the brand new artwork. These are still expensive at £50 a pop, but if you love the film, then they may well be worth having. And the Jaws one was sold out so quickly I didn't even get a chance to buy the Jaws one. So obviously there is a demand for this kind of thing. Now for a recent release from Studio Canal, it's Cutthroat Island. This is the steelbook version that I could get my hands on. This is quite an interesting film because it's famously the biggest Hollywood flop of all time. It cost over $100 million, I believe, and I think it only made 10 million back. So a huge flop in the 90s. And I think many people have judged it based on that piece of trivia. In actual fact, I don't think it's that bad. I think it is quite an enjoyable pirate movie. Definitely paved the way for Pirates of the Caribbean, which is definitely inspired by this. It definitely takes the good bits of this film. I do think the two stars, Gina Davis and Matthew Modine, do lack the chemistry needed to carry this movie, but I still had a great time with it. In regards to the 4K presentation, it does unfortunately suffer from a bit of a yellowy green colour grade. Whilst I never saw this movie in the 90s, I do know they did not grade films back then like it looks on this disc. So for the purists out there who care about colour changes, it's a thing to note. But I still had a good time with this disc. Now for another Studio Canal 4K, it's U571. This is the film that tells the story of these American troops who capture this Nazi submarine in World War II in order to crack the Enigma code. Now this film is complete fiction because in reality, U571 was never captured at all. The Enigma code was cracked before the Americans even joined World War II. But the way this film plays out is very patriotic. It's very kind of morale boosting. So it's kind of weird because I think this is a film for American audiences. And famously when the film came out, I know that our Prime Minister, Tony Blair, demanded an apology for this film because of how history changing it is. Because the film doesn't present itself as pure fiction. It sort of presents itself as historically accurate. This also suffers from a pretty weird colour grade, at times very green, which I can't imagine is how this film was originally looking when it was presented in cinemas. Oh, and I also can't help laugh that it's John Bon Jovi who is the engineer who is there to crack the Enigma code. It's just a bit ridiculous. But I did have fun with it. Not the best 4K presentation of the year by any stretch though. A release that I did really enjoy from Studio Canal was The Wicker Man. This is the 50th anniversary edition. I did a review on the channel of this last week, so do go and check out that video for my thoughts. But such a great release for an iconic British classic film. It's so good and it's so strange and unique. So, loved this release of The Wicker Man. I also recently picked up Crimes of the Future, the David Cronenberg 4K edition from Second Sight Films. This is a great release as well. Second Sight are just on a run. They just have such high production value to all of their releases. A great presentation of the film, a very strange film, definitely very strange. I did do a full video on this release as well, so please do go and check that out if you want to hear more. Now for something that we don't get too often, it's a BFI 4K disc, and this is Gregorys Girl, the classic Scottish coming-of-age movie from Bill Forsyth. Such a fun watch, so quotable, so charming. You might watch it and think it's sort of dated in its approach, but actually that is part of the charm, and I think it is so authentic, so believable and funny. And I'm very glad to say that the 4K presentation looks beautiful, very filmic, and just you get so much more detail out of the picture compared to the older Blu-ray that I had from Second Sight. So this is a great release. Please do go and support BFI with their releases. Something brand new from Umbrella Entertainment in Australia, it's The Last Wave. This is the collector's edition of the Peter Weir film, a film that I have grown to absolutely love over the last few years. It's about visions of the end of the world, this rain that keeps coming. Is everyone going to just be washed away in this big flood? And it's a film that, you know, you question science, question faith. It's about mysticism. It's about all sorts of different things. And the films of Peter Weir have had quite a year because we got this, we got Picnic at Hanging Rock, The Truman Show. I know Arrow are releasing Witness. So it's a great year for the Peter Weir fans. I just really hope we can get Master and Commander on 4K. That would be so good. But yes, this is a great release from Umbrella. If you already have the Blu-ray of the film that they released last year or the year before, I don't think there's too much of an improvement in the image here, because that disc already looked very good and it is the same restoration that is used. Of course, you get more mileage out of the 4K disc, but it isn't some massive jump in quality. So do bear that in mind if you already have the Blu-ray of this film. And then I watched something very exciting on 4K. It's Showgirls. And I don't have the case for this because actually my friend Sam sent me his replacement disc from the Vinegar Syndrome release. So yeah, thanks to Sam for sending this. Apparently there was some audio issue in the 4K disc, so they did this replacement program. I didn't actually notice the issue on the previous disc. And I genuinely believe that this is a misunderstood masterpiece. I know the film got totally destroyed by critics. You know, it won a load of Razzies at the awards. But yeah, I think this is unfairly maligned. Paul Verhoeven knows what he's doing when he makes a movie, and I don't think he would make a bad movie by mistake. You know, everything here is a choice that he has made, and I think this is on the same kind of satirical level as Starship Troopers, and those two films I think go very well together. So as you can see, a bit of a mixed bag of films for my 4K collection update. Hopefully there was something there for everyone, and if you enjoyed any of these films yourself, do let me know which ones of these you really like. If you haven't seen it already, go and watch my video on the Exorcist 4K, which I'll link on screen right now for you to watch. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.